Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Sarah Lappin, and I am so excited to have so much interest in the class that I have designed as an elective for Alliant Introduction to Psychedelic Assisted Psychotherapy. So a little bit about me. I am finishing up my second year as a core faculty member here at Alliant. Prior to being here, I did a postdoctoral fellowship at the University of Alabama at Birmingham in the health behavior department housed within the School of Public Health, primarily working as a co-therapist on a randomized controlled trial testing the efficacy of psilocybin-assisted therapy for cocaine use disorder. So I started my postdoc in 2015. And as many of you perhaps have noticed recently, interest in psychedelic assisted psychotherapy has really boomed probably in the last 3 years. So I was a little bit in front of that, though, in terms of the what is being dubbed kind of the second wave of psychedelic assisted therapy and the testing and utilization for various diagnoses, but also, as some of you may be familiar with, it is also used what's called microdosing, which doesn't facilitate or potentiate the hallucinations, visual, audio, all kinds of hallucinations. Microdosing, you're not really as affected in terms of your sensory experience by the psychedelics. So what is primarily being used today in research is MDMA and psilocybin, along with ketamine. So ketamine in the state of California is legal. It is not all forms of it are reimbursed by insurance. It's also it can be largely inaccessible. So one of my missions being in this field, so I want to contribute in a meaningful way, is figuring out how to make psychedelics a little bit more accessible. Because quite frankly, many of the people who struggle with the diagnoses for which psychedelics have been applied don't have the resources to access it in like a private pay type of format. So MDMA they are working toward FDA approval for that to be allowed to be disseminated more largely, which is a little bit scary, but we'll talk about that throughout this semester. And psilocybin also does not have FDA approval. So there's a company called Compassion, mostly it's known as Compass, based out of the UK, that is working primarily with psilocybin to get it to move it forward in terms of FDA approval. And then here in California is an organization called MAPS, the Multidimensional Association for the Psychedelic Studies, that is working exclusively with MDMA, working with policymakers, both companies really trying to build evidence to re-inform the scheduling of these substances. Some people call them medications. We'll get a little bit more into that because you are with me. You'll get to hear some of my thoughts on all of this in terms of the semantics around psychedelics and different types of hallucinogens and entheogens. We'll get all into that. But moving toward really gathering evidence to say, hey, this doesn't meet requirements for being Schedule 1. And we'll talk a little bit about that throughout the semester, learning about the war on drugs and how different substances got scheduled in the way that they did. So yeah, that is a little bit about me, but a little bit of a tangent about psychedelics. But yeah, so now what I would like to do is go a little bit over the the syllabus for this class so you can get just a feel for what is going to be expected of you. So let me maximize this and talk a little bit about the next 10 weeks. So I really do encourage you to take a look at the course description, the course rationale. I know all of you are in this class for various reasons. Some of you really don't have much interest. You just took all the other electives. Some of you are super geeked about this this wave in some ways, and the testimonials and what has been found and is being discovered in the research in terms of the ways in which utilizing psychedelics as an adjunctive treatment for various presenting issues is honestly quite promising. So as you know, this is a 10-week course, and I'm going to go over, not in detail, but just again, giving you kind of a bird's eye view of what you'll be doing over the next 10 weeks. All of the readings, all of the materials for this class are provided to you. You do not have to buy anything. I have gotten it in some way or another for you. So we do have one text for this class, the Handbook of Medical Hallucinogens. For those of you who are not as familiar with this field, this is an extremely quickly evolving field. So as you can see, I did my absolute best to not have any of the readings be long or older than about 5 years, because the information evolves so quickly. So I'm just even thinking about, teaching this course potentially next summer, and I'm going to have to update the syllabus. I'm going to have to update the reading. So you can probably see there's quite a few readings. We do have the textbook, but a lot of what we're going to be looking at are articles and some protocols. And I'll be sharing some of my anecdotal experience down in Alabama from the study down in Alabama as well. Publications pending on that. We're gathering the last of our data for that to have that be disseminated. So quick breakdown of the course overview. So in week 1, I'll be giving you an introduction to the use and applications of psychedelics. We'll be talking quite a bit about shamanism, and understanding some of the indigenous roots of psychedelics, though for like ketamine is not a plant, MDMA is not a plant, LSD is not a plant. So when there's language like plant medicine, that is primarily referring to psilocybin or mushrooms, ayahuasca, peyote, but we'll talk a little bit about some of those. But as you can see in this course, we'll be focusing on psilocybin, MDMA, and ketamine, because those are the substances that are gaining the most attention and are being tested for larger clinical use. So I want you to be kind of up to date on, I guess, for lack of a better term, kind of the big 3 in this class. But I'll be giving in week 2, we'll cover, the first wave of psychedelic therapy, which was ridden with a lot of methodological and ethical struggles. And, like all research, kind of really trying to learn from our past, but also knowing that when somebody is under the influence of psychedelics or entheogens, they're extremely vulnerable. So people are potentially wanting to enter this field to exploit people and take advantage of them. So if there's any message that I want to send to you during your time with me in this class, is that psychedelics in many ways are sacred. Not all, I mean, in terms of having indigenous roots or, having tribal and ritualistic roots, spiritual roots. But just know that if this is a field that you decide to enter, I really want you to ask yourself, why? and recognizing that we know as mental health practitioners, we have inherent power in the room. And with psychedelics, in some ways, you have even more power because you have somebody who is in a non-ordinary state of mind, who is seeing and hearing and experiencing sensations that do create vulnerability. So please just know, if this is something that you want to do, I really encourage you to think about why, and really think about how you can keep this field super ethical, very safe, very grounding. Because like I said, there's people in it for the prestige, there's people in it for, I guess for lack of a better term, clout, for just being able to take advantage of people. And I don't want any of you to be those people. And then we're going to end the class with some conclusions, controversies, and future directions. The first 9 weeks, I want to be very transparent with all of you in letting you know my extreme enthusiasm for this field, and what I sincerely believe is so much promise. But there are caveats to that. There are necessities in terms of how we care for our clients and how we care for the substances and how we prepare clients, patients, participants, whatever setting that you're in for this. So it's not without its controversies, it's not without its risks. And I'll do my best to be very transparent with you on that without maybe going too much onto a soapbox. Okay, so then in terms of what we're going to be, what's going to be asked of you, you will see this is a reading heavy class. I really am trying to equip you with all of the most up-to-date research on the applications of the various psychedelics. So please read. I know that sometimes with asynchronous classes, the pressure to participate isn't as urgent because you have a little bit of time. And sometimes, I've taught online classes before. Sometimes y'all bullshit. And just know, I will be looking for that. And I do have a couple of TAs for this class who will be helping me out to be able to give you solid feedback, timely feedback, but also challenge you. So you'll be being asked to do at least one weekly assignment. So as you know, this is a 10-week class. We do have some larger assignments. And I really tried to pare this down for all of you because I want you to focus on learning and not so much on producing. So I do have quite a few reflections. We only have a couple of discussions because I like psychedelics. I want this to be a little bit more of an inward, kind of personalized, self-focused journey for you in terms of your learning and any of the production of papers and stuff like that. So I pride myself, so all of you know, in being a responsive professor. So if you have questions, if anything comes up for you and you want to debrief, you want to discuss, please reach out to me. I do not have all of my lectures will be recorded. So I will have a lecture ready for you the Friday of the week before. So y'all are listening to this right now in week 1. The lecture is already created for you and it is up on my YouTube page, which you all will have a link. If you're watching this right now, you have found the link in the announcements as to where to find all of the materials for this course. So I will do a weekly lecture. So for example, the lecture for week 2 will be ready on Friday of week 1 and so on and so on, because I want to give you a chance to have as much time with the material as possible. And I think I was going to say something else, but I can't remember. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, please do the readings. Like I said, I'm really trying to equip you with as much information that's up to date as possible, knowing that this is an extremely quickly moving field. So again, I'm not having any office hours that I am holding. If you have a question, I want you to initiate contact with me. Also, if you are going to be turning in an assignment late, I want at least 48 hours of a heads up. And if you do not communicate with me, I'm not going to grant you an extension. I'm really trying to hold all of you accountable to that and encourage you to communicate. I recognize that some things are unforeseen, you know, heaven forbid something happen to you or a loved one that you kind of have to react to. But many times during the summer, it's a vacation that you're taking. It is a trip that you're taking, and then while you're there, you'll shoot me an email and say, hey, I'm in Hawaii and I was wondering if I could have, no, you know your schedule over the next 10 weeks. So talk to me and I will respect that communication, but also help me help you. Also, always know that this is a two-way relationship where I'm here to teach you and I'm also here to be accountable to you, and you're here to be accountable to me. So when you turn in a paper late with just a little, message on it saying, so sorry, didn't foresee this, hope you will accept it. Don't get mad at me when I don't. So just communicate with me. We are all learning to be therapists. We are all learning to be couple and family therapists. Many of us, I know that there are some people who are in other programs throughout CSPP. But at the end of the day, we're all mental health practitioners. So you're going to be working with people, and what's one of the roots of the issues that people come to us with? Communication. So if you can't communicate, how are you going to be teaching other people to do that? So that's probably the sassiest you'll hear me be throughout this semester, but just please talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. I am understanding, I am flexible, I am compassionate. I'm also human, and it is extra work for me every time somebody turns something in late and expects, for lack of a better term, kind of special treatment. So y'all are important, y'all aren't special, neither am I. So that's coming from a place of equality in that way. Okay, so I think that is really all I want to go over in terms of the syllabus. Like I said, if you have any questions, any concerns, anything you want to go over with me, please don't hesitate to reach out and I will set up a Zoom meeting with you to discuss whatever you would like.